Exploring the Bible, Genesis and Exodus. Hello everyone. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into two important books of the Bible, Genesis and Exodus. Our purpose here is to help you understand these stories, which give us a sense of humanity's beginning and highlight our struggles with sin. Throughout these tales, we see how God helps and guides humanity, even when we often choose our own paths. So, let's embark on this journey together. Let's start at the very beginning, the creation story. In Genesis, we learn that God created the world in 6 days. He made light, land, plants, animals, and finally, humans. Day 1, light and darkness, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. He separated the light from the darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. This act shows the power of God's word and illustrates the beginning of time as we know it. Day 2, sky and sea. On the second day, God created the sky, separating the waters above from the waters below. This division created a space for life to flourish, symbolizing order out of chaos. Day 3, land and plants. Next, He gathered the waters to create dry land and filled the earth with plants and trees. God saw that it was good, emphasizing His approval of the beauty of creation. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars. On the fourth day, God created the sun to govern the day and the moon and stars for the night. These celestial bodies not only provide light but also help to mark time and seasons. Day 5, fish and birds. Then, He filled the sea with fish and the sky with birds. God commanded them to multiply and fill the earth, highlighting His desire for life to thrive. Day 6, animals and humans. Finally, God created land animals and humans in His image. He blessed them and told them to be fruitful and multiply. This special creation of humans indicates our unique relationship with God, made to reflect His character. But soon after creation, we encounter the story of the fall. Adam and Eve lived in the beautiful Garden of Eden, where they had everything they needed. However, they were tempted by a serpent to eat from the tree of knowledge, which God had forbidden. This act of disobedience is known as sin. Because of their choice, they were banished from the garden, and sin entered the world. This story teaches us about the consequences of our actions and the struggle with temptation. The serpent's deception. The serpent questioned God's command, suggesting that eating the fruit would make them wise. This manipulation reflects how temptation can twist truth. The consequences, after eating the fruit, Adam and Eve realized they were naked and felt shame. God's question, "Where are you?" shows His desire for a relationship, even after their disobedience. Next, we meet Adam and Eve's sons, Cain and Abel. Cain was a farmer, and Abel was a shepherd. They both brought offerings to God, but God favored Abel's offering over Cain's. Out of jealousy, Cain killed Abel, committing the first murder. God's warning. Before Cain acted, God warned him that sin was crouching at his door, urging him to do what is right. This illustrates how God desires to guide us away from sin. Consequences of jealousy. When God confronted Cain, he lied and claimed he didn't know where Abel was. God's punishment was to make him a wanderer, but He also placed a mark on Cain to protect him from harm, showing mercy even in judgment. As humanity multiplied, so did sin. God decided to cleanse the earth with a great flood, but He found one righteous man, Noah. God instructed Noah to build an ark and save his family and 2 of every animal. The ark's construction, God gave Noah specific dimensions and instructions for the ark, emphasizing the importance of following God's guidance. The ark symbolizes salvation amidst judgment. The flood. When the flood came, it rained for 40 days and nights. The earth was covered, but Noah, his family, and the animals were safe inside the ark. After the waters receded, Noah sent out a raven and then a dove to check for dry land, showing patience and hope. The covenant. God made a covenant with Noah, promising never to flood the earth again, symbolized by a rainbow. This story shows us God's mercy and the possibility of new beginnings, emphasizing His commitment to humanity. In the story of the Tower of Babel, humanity decided to build a tower to reach the heavens, wanting to make a name for themselves. They spoke one language and worked together in this grand ambition. God's response: God saw their pride and confusion and decided to confuse their language. As a result, people could no longer communicate effectively, and they scattered across the earth. The lesson: this tale teaches us about pride and the limits of human ambition. It reminds us that God has a plan for humanity that goes beyond our understanding, highlighting the importance of humility. Now let's move to the book of Exodus. After the story of Genesis, the Israelites found themselves in Egypt, where they were enslaved. The Pharaoh feared their growing numbers and made their lives very hard. The oppression: the Egyptians forced the Israelites into hard labor, building cities and working in the fields. This oppression symbolizes the struggles and injustices that can occur in life. God's promise: despite their suffering, God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, promising to deliver them. This shows his faithfulness to his people. Moses was tending sheep when he saw a burning bush that was not consumed by fire. God spoke to him, telling him to return to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let his people go. Moses' hesitation: Moses expressed doubt, asking, "Who am I that I should go?" God reassured him, saying, "I will be with you." This dialogue highlights how God empowers those who call God's name. When Moses asked for God's name, he replied, "I am who I am," revealing his eternal nature and authority. This moment emphasizes the importance of knowing God's character. When Moses returned to Egypt, Pharaoh refused to free the Israelites. So, God sent 10 plagues to show his power. Each plague demonstrated his authority over Egyptian gods and the natural world. Water to blood: the Nile River turned to blood, showing God's power over the lifeblood of Egypt. Frogs swarmed the land, symbolizing the overwhelming nature of God's judgment. Gnats: dust turned into gnats, illustrating God's control over the earth. Flies: swarms of flies plagued Egypt, but God spared the Israelites, showing his protection. Livestock disease: Egyptian livestock died, highlighting the fragility of life without God. Boils: painful boils afflicted Egyptians, demonstrating God's power over health. Hail: a severe hailstorm destroyed crops, emphasizing God's control over nature. Locusts consumed what was left. Darkness: a thick darkness covered Egypt for 3 days, showing God's sovereignty over light. Death of the firstborn: the final plague led Pharaoh to finally let the Israelites go. This plague affected every household, illustrating the seriousness of disobedience. After leaving Egypt, the Israelites found themselves trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. But God performed a miracle. He parted the waters, allowing the Israelites to cross safely. Moses' faith: Moses raised his staff, demonstrating his faith in God's power. The waters parted, showcasing a miraculous intervention that allowed God's people to escape. God's protection: when Pharaoh's army pursued them, the waters returned, drowning them. This act of salvation emphasizes God's protection over his people and his power to deliver them from danger. Once free, the Israelites traveled to Mount Sinai. Here, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, which serve as moral guidelines for living. "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. Honor your father and mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not covet." Today, we explored the stories of Genesis and Exodus. From creation to the journey of the Israelites, these narratives teach us about humanity's beginnings and our ongoing struggle with sin. We see that despite our shortcomings, God remains faithful, guiding and helping us. These stories are not just ancient tales, they resonate with our lives today. They remind us that we can always seek guidance, forgiveness, and a fresh start. If you enjoyed this journey through Genesis and Exodus, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll continue to explore more stories from the Bible and how they relate to our lives. Thank you for joining us, and remember, stay curious and keep seeking understanding in the stories that shape our world.